You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
You can put it on the board. Yes! Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. And that's the wrong button. I love that. You know what's great, folks? Listen, we throw ourselves to the fire. You know why? Just because we can. This is great. A big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, from Honolulu all the way down to South Florida to New York and a whole bunch of points in between. Everybody else on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Wow Cable Television. Thanks for joining us. Everybody on Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites. Yes, we're on Chicago Food Favorites. There's no other page that I know of. And yet we're going to have a word, of course, with our barbecue expert and quarterback sack expert in just a moment. But there's no other page that I know of that actually has a regular Facebook page you could join and stuff. It's called Chicago Food Favorites. But we actually air on television and on the radio, and we're plugging it. Why? Because we can. That's the best part about it. We're not getting anything from this. We're just trying to share in the excitement, because there's always a conversation of food and sports together, music and sports and food. Food is always in there. So that's why we have Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker with us right here on the Sports Circus. And he's going to talk barbecue for just a quick moment here. We're waiting for our special guest, and we won't tell you who it is just yet. Go ahead, Al.
All right. Hi. As Sal said, I'm Al Bubba Baker, and I am the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of history about me. Yes, I played in the National Football League, but I actually have shared this before. Football was my job. Barbecue is my passion. Here's a little bit of history of who I am. I was born into a family back in 1956 up in Jacksonville. I'm down here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. I was born up in Jacksonville into a business. Look it up. Jenkins Quality Barbecue. That's Jenkins Quality Barbecue. And my uncle, Melton Jenkins Jr., whom I refer to as my daddy Jr., he's no longer with us. He's up in past rush heaven. Actually, my daddy Jr. is in barbecue heaven. He's up there where the flying pigs are, if you ever heard anybody talk about that. When pigs fly, yeah, well, they do up in barbecue heaven. Lots of them all the way around. Of course, my uncle, he showed me through sharing, and I rode in shotgun with him everywhere. From the time that I was born, they brought me home from the hospital, and as my brothers laugh and joke, they tell me that I was so ugly, they put me in a corner and they threw pork chops at me. My mother never confirmed that that wasn't true, but my mom is no longer around to confirm that it wasn't, so it must be true. I guess I was an ugly kid, but you know, here I am. I grew into somebody that wound up playing not only in the National Football League, but excelling at it in 13 years. But as I said before, barbecue is my passion. Football was my job. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I feel about barbecue. There's a couple different ways that you can barbecue. My uncle, he barbecued with the heat up underneath, and he roasted the barbecue, which means he cooked a slab of ribs, a slab of St. Louis rib would cook in about 45 minutes. I smoked. I had indirect heat. My heat was on one end, my barbecue was on the other. The meat was on the other. So it took me 2.5 hours to cook that same slab of St. Louis rib. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, that's a barbecue saying, by the way. What happens is the smoke and the heat actually went across the meat. And the reason that I decided to smoke meats was because of the aroma. I didn't like the texture of what they call pit barbecue. I didn't like the fact that you had to squirt water over the wood. I felt like cinders. How could it not get on the meat? I like a smooth finish. And here's the biggest thing that I liked about the kind of barbecue that I've made my entire barbecue career. I would rather count on the dry rub and the texture of the meat and the finish, because those are the same things that they do in the Kansas City as judges, right? In order for you to taste something, you actually have to bite it first. The first thing you do is you see it with your eyes. The second thing is that you do is you would bite it and you would try the texture. So going by those rules, after being in a couple of ribs cook-offs and a couple of rib burn-offs, I quickly learned what kind of meat I wanted and what I wanted my meat to look and feel and taste like. And so as a result, I became a full-time smoker. I no longer let my cooks finish the ribs on the grill. They went into a heat box because I wanted that texture. So what I got was this soft, amber, red-looking color from the dry rub, the sweetness of the pork itself, and I had a basic rub of salt, sugar, paprika, smoked paprika, cayenne pepper, chili powder, a little bit of cumin, and I won't tell you what the other herbs were because I'd be giving away my family secret, and I'm saving it for my grandchildren. But I let the meat do all the work, and then the sauce was just a condiment. What I see now in the barbecue market doesn't make me happy. Everybody's just slopping it around in the sauce. You don't really know what you have in terms of quality of the meat. My uncle had a saying that I absolutely love, and I can't really finish it, so I'll have to kind of hint to it. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken.
I like that. And, you know, so what's cool here, folks, we're really speaking to all those people that are maybe the tailgaters, right? Oh, and by the way, absolutely. Hey, listen, Bubba, I got something great for you. So I haven't shared this with you or anybody else, but I have a domain. We should build out this website. And the domain, you're going to love this. It's called footbarbecue.com. Yes!
Wow.
Footbarbecue. Isn't that a great one?
Yeah, that's actually up there along with Bubba's Q.
I like it. Bubba's Q. Well, this is great because we're actually speaking to those people that are watching on the food, right, on the Chicago Food Favorites page on Facebook. But we're speaking to everybody here because what do? We all eat. And how many of us love barbecue? Yeah, exactly. A lot of us do.
But I was speaking specifically to the guys that go through all that beautiful work. They smoke that rib, and then they slam it on a grill, right, with 575 degrees and up. And then they burn it and they crisp it and they toast it. And then all you really taste is the charred flavor. What I'm saying to those guys is get yourself a hot box with moist heat inside of it and throw it in there. Or you can actually use a 96-gallon container or a cooler and throw your ribs in there and hold them. That's a cook-off secret from Al Bubba Baker, and you didn't have to pay for it. You heard it right here.
Hey, that's pretty exciting.
That's a freebie.
You're getting inside information from the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Hey, you know, one of these days, you know what we should do? And, of course, this is completely unofficial. Just a couple of guys talking about food and sports and stuff right now, waiting on that special guest. What we could do maybe is some kind of a contest, some kind of a giveaway. I don't know. Maybe it's an autographed picture with the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. I don't know. Whatever it is. We'll have to figure something out, whatever you want to do. And that would be something maybe for our audience on the Chicago Food Favorites page as well because, you know, hey, we're trying to build the membership. Again, we don't get a damn thing for doing this. It's just fun. You know what I mean?
I would also like to maybe share some basics like I just shared, the salt, the sugar, and the paprika and chili powder and cayenne. Well, you can, once you know that base, you can make that dry rub anywhere you want. You can add Italian seasonings. Tuzzolino. You got to figure it out. Black guy, I'm saying Tuzzolino. That's the
one of these days you're going to get it right. It's the Tuzzolino, right? So you got to make sure. Tuzzolino. Come on, make sure you get it right? And my whole life, in the last minute of the segment here, my whole life, I had this problem all the way from kindergarten, all the way to today's time. They can't sound it out. We're told as a little kid, what? Sound the word out because you'll get it right. In Italian, you pronounce every vowel. It is what it is. So what's so hard about that, people? Right? And there are some sounds like the C, and the H, I, like whatever. We'll see that sound that's like a K sound, like a K. But then we'll see a C sound that's like a CH sound. Like, right? And there's all kinds of weird things. But when you see the vowels, pronounce them. I'll tell you what, folks, when we come back, we may have a special guest with us. We may not. We're just rolling the dice, and if so, if we don't have, and we're going to carry on with this ridiculousness, because that's what we do here in the circus. Listen, it's a circus, and we prove it every day. That's according to Colonel Bucky. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Folks, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this one.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
So I guess Roy Firestone got it a little bit wrong. So it is the Sports Circus show, but I'm Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Sal Tuzzolino, let me say it right, Tuzzolino. If you can't tell, I am not Sal. I'm Al. Whoa, you can't have Sal without Al. But I am here, and Sal's giving me a little bit of a vine to hang on and to hang out and talk about as an NFL analyst. But today we've been talking about barbecue. And simply, where we left off was I was talking about a basic dry rub. Equal parts of salt, sugar. Don't use sugar if you're not going to smoke. If you're going to pit barbecue and you use sugar, it will burn up. You're going to wind up with a, I almost said, I hope nobody can call me a racist if I say if you're going to wind up with black ribs, but you're going to have black ribs. Black bruised ribs. But the truth is, don't use sugar if you're not smoking. If you're going to be using pit barbecue, you do not want any kind of sugar. Why? Because it'll caramelize. It'll turn hard. It'll turn candy-like. And then the next stage is it'll get black and it'll have a burnt flavor. And you will have spent hours upon hours and you'll be embarrassed by your gift. And how do I know that? Because I've done it the hard way, thousands of times. Actually, folks, I actually went to my first rib cook-off with sugar in the rub. Didn't know it, and I had my staff. We had 4 grills out there, and we were throwing those ribs on the grill, and people were bringing them back in droves because the ribs had a burned flavor. I probably lost $4,000 or $5,000 in the first day. And then finally, one of my competitors came over and said, "Hey, do you have sugar in your dry rub?" And I said, and God bless him, his name was Butch Johnson out of New Jersey. Butch is in barbecue heaven now. But Butch helped me, and the next year I actually beat Butch in the Cleveland rib burn-off. I came in second place. Butch came in third. So I surpassed him, but I didn't win that way. Colonel Johnston won from Virginia. That was my first actual out-on-my-own competition. And what did I learn? No sugar if you're going to put it on the grill. And what Butch showed me was that little trick I was talking to you guys about before the break. Just remember, after you smoke your ribs, after you cook them, and they are 90 to 95% done, throw them in a cooler, close the top, and don't open them until you put more ribs in there. You will not believe the texture and how tender they will. They will actually steam. They won't get slimy. They won't get mushy. They'll just continue to tenderize. Same ways when in a steak recipe when it tells you to put foil over your meat so that it tint the meat so that it will continue to cook. So I heard a little ding, and I think we're going to have a little surprise for you all. Let me...
I haven't heard that ding just yet. You know what? You know what you may have heard is when you were saying you cost yourself $4,000 or $5,000. You may have heard, "Show me the money." I think that's probably what it was, right?
No, actually, the ding was on me. That was what happens when you play football. You know, your bells.
Well, yeah, but you were used to ringing people's bells. By the way, folks, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates. That would be including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome into everybody that may be listening in or watching in Los Angeles. Just start hammering these cities out right away, from LA to San Francisco to Seattle, all the way over to Denver, Phoenix, Chicago, and of course Detroit. Can't forget Detroit and Cleveland as well, right? Got to have those in there. Of course, Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback. He broke some quarterbacks' backs. Well, not really, figuratively speaking. Back in those days with the Cardinals, that would be the St. Louis Cardinals, and that would be, of course, the Cleveland Browns, and, of course, who else? The Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. right? We don't want to leave out the Vikings as well, right? So he's a real black and blue division kind of guy, really getting in there and mushing people up. But also welcome in to everybody down in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD. Now, folks, sometimes this show will air at nighttime and sometimes it airs in the morning. So this file, some of you are watching it live, some are going to get it later. Over in Auburn, you may be getting it just a touch later because our actual broadcast time. But this is great stuff. We still take calls and we still take emails. If you have questions, send them in. info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Or if you dare right now, I'll even open up the phone lines, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. If you dare to ask Big Bubba a question, who knows? You might get your back broken or you might get some really good information on baby back ribs. You never know. Either way, it's going to be a winner. I personally like baby back ribs. I don't know about you. I think you like the St. Louis one. Yes!
Let me tell you why I like St. Louis. So
hold that thought. We want to also welcome back everybody that's watching on Chicago Food Favorites as well. That's on Facebook. Thanks for joining us at Hotel TV. Okay, Al, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna give you a barbecue secret. Again, this is what's happening to me. My grandkids are gonna kill me for this. All right, so here's the secret. The reason that you want the spare rib trimmed, which is a St. Louis, is because it's down below near the bacon. So that's where most of the flavor is. As long as it's trimmed, and it has to be a quality St. Louis, not a spare rib, but a St. Louis, because that's when they remove the skin off the back. That's when they cut off all the fat and the extra sinew and the pieces of meat that they later sell you as a reduced price. And you see a lot of it in Asian food because they tenderize it. They do a great job with it. But what happens to a St. Louis rib? That's competition rib. Because it's so close down to the pork belly, it has more flavor. Guess where the baby back is? Up on top, where the pig is not getting any activity because it's on his back, his tenderloins. So he's not using that muscle to make that meat. That's why it's firm. It is basically a pork loin or pork chop kind of texture that you have. When you go with a St. Louis rib, you're getting all that texture and that good marbling that you would get in a pork belly. See, a lot of people don't know that because they don't know how the prime animal is actually butchered. That's why the St. Louis rib is what they use in contests and not baby back.
Wait, you know what? The reason I'm saying baby back, obviously, because the bones that come right out and stuff like that. But I got that song going through my head from Chili's. You know that baby back, baby back, back. Exactly. I can't help it. I mean, I've got that going through my head all the time when I'm thinking about ribs. You know, it is what it is.
Talk about hits to the head. See, I have that song in my head, but it's not from Chili's. It's from Austin Powers. Yeah, you know the scene in it. I like my baby back, baby back, baby back. Right. He's probably 550 pounds. But I mean, that's a little secret. No, and that's why judges, in the Kansas City competitions and in how they really evaluate it. Remember, you've got to taste the rib. You've got to bite the rib first. You've got to see it. So to put it in a contest, you need that extra fat. You need that time for that rib to develop. Baby back quick. They cook faster. They cook in an hour and a half because they're so lean. Now, it's a matter of preference, but I tell you, if you ever put them next to each other, equal seasonings, equal sauce, equal time spent on them, dry rub, you'll never be the same. Most people don't. I put them both on the same plate. We had a plate called the MVP. It had baby back ribs on it. It had St. Louis ribs on it. It had a half a chicken. It had pulled pork. It had beef brisket. It was under $40. It came with coleslaw, baked beans, and 4 muffins, and you shared it with 4 people. I knew how to do barbecue, man. And there's people still sending me dirty letters going, I can't believe you left Avon. Yeah, it was called the MVP. it came up in my head in the middle of one night, and I said to my wife, I said, we got to have big. And we had two big, ginormous plates. And then the sides came out, and then muffins came out, and the muffins were hot. It was called the MVP, Most Valuable Player.
Wow.
And that was the ribs.
That's very exciting stuff. And, I think about this. What I had for breakfast, I had this some shredded wheat, whatever, and then I got from the 99-cent only store, which everything is really $1 or $3. I got a box of this hot chocolate cereal. Whatever. I'm talking on the phone. I'm like, all right, I'm just eating out of there. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start pouring. I ate almost the whole damn box on top of the shredder wheat on top of it. So I've got food in my brain. Now you're killing me here with great lunchtime and dinner time feast. And now I'm thinking, am I hungry again? I think I am. But ultimately, I can't eat again because, you know what? Listen, man, I've lost about 45 odd pounds and I don't want to go back there. So, when we think of that second and third and fourth helping with cereal, I can't help it. When it comes to big dinners, I can help it, if you know what I mean. Because it's real easy to hammer down ribs. I'll tell you this before we get out of here for the break. My brother and I would go to these all-you-can-eat rib places. Like we went to Tony Roma's one time in Southern California. We were both 4 slabs in, and they finally said, no more. We're not going to feed you anymore. We said, no. It says all you can eat. And we stayed there until closing, and they wouldn't let us back in ever again. All right, folks, back here with Big Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker, the rib maker here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Got a surprise for you in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Sports Circus Show. I'm Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. And a special welcome to those of you on radio and TV, and of course, Facebook and social media. I'm sitting in for my man, Sal Tuzzolino, and we're going to have a Tuzzolino. I have to pronounce every vowel. That's what my man, Sal Tuzzolino. I'm just going to go ahead and call him Tuz. So welcome back, everybody. I'm sitting in for Sal. I'm just for the moment. But we're expecting a guest today.
In fact, we have our special guest. And why don't you introduce yourself, young man?
How you guys doing? I'm Larry Foote, defensive coordinator with Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, yes.
All right.
Thanks, Larry.
Hey, Coach Foote. You know, I right away I want to jump right in. Thank you, first of all, and I want you to explain to our listeners and our viewer, because we are doing a little bit of television here as well. It's called AMP TV, all ages media programming. So what I want you to explain to me and the rest of us, what does pass game coordinator mean? Because that didn't exist in my day, Coach. What does that mean?
To start with, Todd Bowles still calls the defense. So he gave me that title. So I might just pay attention to the pass game and work with the coaches. Take a little bit off of his plate and areas we need to improve in. I'm just kind of his eyes when, he's off doing other stuff, the head coaching title that, you got to do a lot of executive work throughout the organization. But I just take a lot off his plate and I just concentrate on the pass game, the pass defense.
Okay. Does that involve the linemen, linebackers, and DBs, or just your linebackers?
Our style defense is, everybody got to be able to drop. So every now and then we'll have one of our 350-pound linemen dropping in coverage. But for the most part, it's just linebackers and DBs.
Hey, folks, I just want to help you out. He's talking about Vita Vea, probably one of the most agile 350. He's 350 pounds when he gets into camp and training camp. By the end of winter, I think he has to go out to the truck stop the way. This is a big man who can move. Hey, now I want you to talk about something else, man. Were you able to help the 2021 players after you've been to 2 Super Bowls successfully in 2 Super Bowls, right? Won them. By the way, I played 13 years and didn't even make it to a Super Bowl. So I want people to know how hard it is and how special it is to get and win 2. Were you able to help those young men, how to handle in 2021? Because there's a lot thrown at you, and you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of distractions, man.
Well, as soon as you win the championship game, you want to get all that stuff out the way, as far as tickets, who's coming to the game, hotels, flights, stuff like that. So the faster you put that to bed, so you can start concentrating on the game. Because, I also lost one, too. In 2010 to Green Bay, and for some reason you always think about the one you lost. So
really,
you want to, you get that week in between. I remember our first Super Bowl up in Detroit. We kind of were, we were kind of having fun during that, all too much fun to my liking, because we were so excited making it. So I just try to tell them, limit the distractions and get through this game, then you can party, go to Miami, whatever you guys want to do. But let your friends and family enjoy the festivities that come with the Super Bowl, and you concentrate on getting that ring.
I would like to talk about a special moment in your career, somewhere around year 9, coming out of Pershing High School. It was a John L. Pershing.
John J.
Pershing, and the reason I say that is because my wife lived on the west side. I married a Detroit girl. I was in Detroit from 78 till 82. Were you even born yet?
No, born in 80.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. So you were 2 years old when I left Detroit. but here's what I wanted to try and find out here. You came back home and you went to Detroit, and you went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Coach, can you talk about why that was different? Let our viewers and our listeners know why there's a difference between having 4 guys in front of you as opposed to 3 and 2 outside linebackers.
Well, everybody get it. When you got a 3-4, you got 3 defensive linemen, you got 2 outside backers, and it's really a 5-man front if you look at the scheme of, especially in the run game. So it's more of a 5-2 far as you got 5 bodies up there. The 4-3, you probably got more athletic guys up front that can get vertical and penetrate. Typically, if you got a 3-4, your interior guys, they got to be bigger guys to be able to 2-gap and do stuff like that. And, I played it in college, but I prefer 3-4 as far as in the run game. And you see the NFL is starting to go with more teams now that do 3-4. I remember early in my career, probably in Pittsburgh, we probably like 3 or 4 teams that ran a 3-4. Now you see it the other way around because they're simply – you got more athletes on the field, and it's a lot easier in the run game because you know where the gaps at. You got 4-3, you got more multiple gaps, a little more thinking on the run. But it's each their own. I prefer 3-4 because you got more guys that's used to dropping. You get a little more exotic.
So I remember getting really excited when I heard you were coming there because I retired in Cleveland, and the way I remembered the Pittsburgh Steelers were – of course, I remember the Steel Curtain, and I went to a few Pro Bowls with Joe Green and Franco and Mean Joe Green. I mean, not Mean Joe Green, but Curly. We called him Curly. Fats, Dwight White. You name it. Yeah, I met all those guys and played in a Pro Bowl against them. I was in the NFC. So I had a lot of respect for them. But I eventually wound up being coached under Coach Bud Carson, a former Marine, a Steeler guy, and he was an attack guy. So the way I remembered the Steelers were, I'm thinking, oh, wow, Larry Foote's going to the Lions. He's going to bring that culture. But then you only stayed a year. Did something happen that you care to share with us?
We were competitive. I came the year after we went on 16. Yeah. So we were a lot compared. We was competitive the next year. We only won 2 games, and it was a change. I really didn't vibe. Rest in peace to the coordinator that was there at the time. I know he passed, and we just didn't gel. And just professionally, in the way he went about, I didn't agree with. A little more old school, and it wasn't fun, to be honest with you. Hopefully young coaches are listening. It's part of your job, not just X's and O's and getting guys better. You got to create a culture that guys want to come in and play. And it wasn't there. It was just too much. And coming from Dick LeBeau to that, It was like, wow. And, early on in the season, I said, man, I miss being in that environment. It was just more family-based. Yes, we got on each other, held each other accountable. But just that old school and no love, I didn't rock with, just personally.
And isn't that indicative of the new coaching style today? If you only know X's and O's, you can't relate to the young guys because they don't know that old style that we were brought up, that I was brought up in. And the way I was coached, my middle name was a 4-letter word, and it just made, you know what I mean? It just ticked me off, and it made me take it out on the opposition's quarterback. The guys that came in after me, you cursed at them, they shut down on you. They went upstairs and said, hey, look, I can't play for Coach Bubba. You know what I mean? So here, let's take this. You talked about the 3-4 and the 4-3. I don't want us to get too far into it because we're going to take a break here real soon. But I want to ask you when we come back, Coach, I want to ask you about, is this a pass-only or oriented league now? Because in my day, from 78 till 90, it started changing. about midway in my career, probably year 10 or 11, right? It was 45 runs, right? And 12 passes, and it was counter trey, P10 coming right at you, and if you couldn't stop it. But now I'm looking at them, it's throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, and I'm thinking, I got 131 sacks. I'd have 300 sacks if I was playing today the way they play. Am I wrong? Has it changed? Is something different? What's different?
Oh, it's pass first. It's pass first. It's kind of like baseball, home runs. You know, hit batting average, nobody cares about it. It's just numbers. I think a lot of these guys just chasing numbers, but it's pass. And to be on the other side, if you look at it, the D-line are so disruptive and so dominant. And some teams, they're not patient and just, you know, keep banging their head against the wall, but it's just pass. People love, and there's so many receivers out there. And just my kids, my young boys are on 7-on-7, and it's just all year round. Quarterbacks, it's just passing. You see the success these young quarterbacks are having. Coming in this league and just dominating. I mean, my 14-year-old son, he started probably 4 years ago. They would never under center. It was shotgun in Little League football, and I was just like, wow. And now when you get to the NFL, like you talk to an offensive line coach, you can't teach them guys the old school ball. It's too late. They don't know it. They don't know how to get in a three-point stance. And I think it's going to change back because if you look at it, the top teams, the Final Four teams are able to run the ball, power run game, sort of like what we're used to because it's still going to be there. And on the flip side, when you get these linebackers in your room, they don't know how to fit it. A power O. Stuff that I don't even remember if a coach ever even taught me that because it was just built in. And you got to literally, you know, now as DBs, you know, oftentimes you get safeties transition into linebackers. So I think it's going to go back because you see the success. The teams that can run the ball and play good defense, you're going to be there in the end.
Wow. Speaking of the end, you know, I had a hard time. I live in Clearwater Beach, Coach.
Right.
So I root for the Bucs all year round, except that last game against. My wife can tell you, man. I paced the floor. I was like, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" Because I played for the Lions. I was rookie of the year. I was all pro there. You know, that was a very, very difficult thing for me. And I know you all had to be saying this. Y'all were just one drive away from taking that thing home. Just like you said, golf and the pass game, and they just came out, and I think that the Bucs got tired. Am I close to right? It just seemed like the up front pass rush was no longer there. There was no pressure on golf.
Well, when you lose, you know, you hate to do it, but sometimes, you know, you just make a little excuses. You seek comfort, try to say, you know, we had to play on the Monday night. We was down a week. But, yeah, I thought we wore down. They got us because the game, especially when we tied it up 17-17, you can tell, like, that's all we had. And they wore us down. They did a good job of they were checking it down. They did a good job. But up front, they won it. They won it. We tied it up 17-17, and defensively we ran out of gas, I thought, personally. And it was a good season. But it was one play here, we left encouraging because the way we finished the season, a lot of young guys played, and we knew the Lions won the top teams. Like, everybody knows they could have beat San Fran. So we was right there with them at the end and ran out of gas. But we left encouraged, especially how many young guys we played.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, quarterback breaker and the rib maker. Will you share with me, you talked about responding and the bear. You said the bear, something about a bear. You recall that you said the bear got us. It was something about a bear. And I'm thinking, is this one of the Tomlin saying? Or is that just something that comes natural as a coach when you're up on the podium? Yeah,
I got a whole bunch of Tomlin sayings being under him, and I catch myself all the time saying, I just seen one like he was one of his biggest pet peeves: do not seek comfort, do not seek own it, and he hammered that in our heads, just own it. He always tell us be leery of it, stay away from that mindset, that attitude. Just how can I be a difference? But yeah, that bear got us. That bear got us. It jumped on us, and we ran out of gas. That's all.
One of the way I became a Larry Foote fan, in addition to when I knew you were going back after the 0-16 season, and I found out you were from Detroit, it was week 7. And I'm sure you remember this, and I want you to speak to it a little bit. 9 men were on the field on defense, and you could see it. There was a mix-up. I don't know if there was the Bucs were short, and they were running on at the end. And what I remember was you were on the podium, and you said, "I'll take it." They said, "Coach, whose fault was it? What happened here? What happened there?" And I'm not used to that, by the way. And you stepped up and you said, "Well, it was a communication problem." He said, because you said this. You said, "We have all these different packages." You said, "But in the end, it's my fault." Are you accustomed to doing that, Coach? Because in my day, coaches did not. We had something that they called a scapegoat.
Right.
And it was always the players. You stood up on that podium and you were smiling and you looked them right in the eyes and you said, "Yeah, I'll take responsibility for it." Where did you get that from? Because that's sincerely noble. And as a player, hey, I'm 67 years young, man. I wanted to come play for you after I heard you do that, man. When the bear gets you, are you accustomed to doing that? And if so, where did you get that from, man? That's awesome.
Well, it starts back to my early days in Detroit, Westside Cubs. Shout out to my uncle, William Tandy, who coached me there all the way to Persian High School. And it was just built in us, like, be accountable, don't point no fingers. And I think that's the culture that you want. And, as a leader, you got to set that. And you got to, it was true. It was definitely my fault, as the coordinator. I got to work the packages. It wasn't Ty Bowles' fault. You got to make sure you're getting the right guys on the field. And they got to communicate, and they was a little late dragging. So anybody that's on the sideline, those are the assistant coach's job. You got to get the right personnel. Todd told us gave us enough time, and I just didn't execute. And we got caught. And when that happens, you try to grab guys. You try to grab guys because we thought we was going to be late, and that's how we ended up with 9 guys. But that's what you want. As a player, that's the fastest way to lose the room, especially a position group. And as a player sitting in that seat, if the coach don't own something that he was wrong about, I can't respect you. I can't respect you. And it's just a family atmosphere. We demand that from everybody.
So we're going to take a little break, Coach. And when we come back, I also want you to talk about something that you seem to handle very well, and that is you talked about adversity. And I try to share that with young people. And so we're going to take a little break. We're on the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker. I'm the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. We'll be right back with my man, Coach Larry Foote of the Tampa Bay. Not only is he the assistant defensive coordinator, but he's the pass game coordinator. We'll be right back.
Tell you what, folks, we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere, folks. We're going to stay right here. You know why? Because we're having such a good dialogue with Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker, and Larry Foote, who is a very important piece of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers club right now. We're going to stay right here. And Bubba, I want you to get back to your dialogue because it's really good stuff. Folks don't get a chance to hear this kind of dialogue between players, coaches, etc. My giant cranium in this discussion isn't really that important. It's your guys' experience because you got 3 Super Bowls over there. You got another guy that has championship games that knows the agony of defeat. And we're going to go ahead and let these guys continue in. And by the way, welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, and also Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wow Cable affiliates, as well as hotel television in over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. Go ahead, Bubba. Keep going.
All right, Coach. So, Coach, as I said before we took the break, do I need to bring us back, Sal? All right, Coach Foote. Let's go back to that term, adversity, because we have a lot of adversity in life and in the world that we live in. I mean, I just love some of your, I call them Tomlinisms. They sound like Coach Mike Tomlin, things that he says when he's on the podium. And it just seems like to me, you brought a lot of that to Tampa. And when I say brought a lot of that, folks, we're talking about a man, when he took over 5 years ago to coach the outside rushers, the outside linebackers, Shaq Barrett had 19 and a half sacks, and Jason Pierre-Paul chipped in another 18 and a half. So this man's knows pass rush. I feel like Coach Larry Foote and I got a lot in common. And so, Coach, would you go ahead and talk to me a little bit about how you handle adversity?
Well, you got to meet it head on. You know it's coming. That's like I raise my kids. It's coming. So be prepared for it and don't blink. There go another Mike Tomlin. Don't blink. It's coming. Don't blink. Don't be surprised. That's the problem. When tough times come and storms come, people are surprised. Especially when you get of age, they're acting like this is something new. And, that starts with my faith in Jesus Christ and just my Lord. It just, he prepares me for it. If you study your Bible, your word, you know it's coming. And
Coach, can you see the sign behind me?
Let your faith be bigger than your fear. Amen.
Amen. So we're men of faith, and I believe in sharing our faith. I believe that's why we have this platform, and as the reason that I ask you to share it is because I call them storms. And in the Bible, there's a great story where God speaks after Moses passes, and God says, "Be strong and be courageous." To Joshua, this is what you and I want to do with young men. I do it through empowerment and through speaking. And what I'm hearing from you, you do it through coaching. And I'm just telling you, you've got yourself a big fan in Al Bubba Baker here. I'm not kidding you. I wish I could have played for a guy like you.
We family. I didn't know you went to Colorado State. You're a C-State rider.
Yeah.
Joey Porter, Ray Jackson.
Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett. Rest in peace. My good buddy, we buried him last year, Clark Higgins. He passed, but we played together.
I didn't know that about Clark. Yeah, Clark's an alumni. You could say my class, when I came out, we started the whole pass rush. Me, Mike Bell, a guy named Woodrow Carter. We led the nation back then. We called it tackles for losses. So let me get back to that while we're on that subject. Tell me what you did different with Shaq Barrett, and what did you do to make that whole front in 2021 gel so fast, because you had just got here. Tell me how did that happen? Because I'm going to be honest with you. Tampa hadn't seen that since Simeon Rice. They hadn't seen an outside rush. And then all of a sudden, here you come. And prior to that, they hadn't seen anybody since Leroy Selman. And I played against Leroy Selman. So you're talking some long, a long span. All of the pressure came from Warren Sapp in the middle. After Simeon Rice, they hadn't seen anybody. And here you come. How did you get these guys to perform like they did and continue to from what they learned from you?
Well, you go in the room with the world hasn't known. They did not know about a Shaq Barrett and his ability. He was primarily a backup in Denver. Our assistant GM, John Spytek, was out there, so he was familiar with him, so he got him there. And guy get 19 and a half sacks, trust me, a coach can't help that. But my main thing when I'm focused with him and JPP, and they were so talented, is just the motivation part. And believe it or not, we touched on it a minute ago about old school coaching. Players still prefer that, but you got to bring the love and the care. They got to feel that. So the main thing, you got to create a family atmosphere. And like your brother. When you with your brother, I'll tear your head off. Nobody else going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And it got, you got to create that atmosphere. And shoot, that, Shaq Barrett is one of the gifted pass rushers I've seen. And my main thing was motivate, to a part where it got to be annoying. You got to chase them and, pass rushers. And I try to tell them guys, you got to be like cross-country runners. You got to be the most in shape. If you're going to get those, you look at all these top pass rushers to get 15 plus, 10 plus sacks, you got to be in shape. You got to be in shape. And my main message to those guys, you got to work hard. You got to be the hardest workers on the team if you want to be productive.
All right, folks, listen, we're coming up on the...
there's a term that when I listen to all of this, when you guys all come back and I go listen to your press conferences. And again, that's a new thing. Again, I didn't know a coach, assistant coach. Look like everybody, you have to bring your aunt, your wife, your dog. Seems like everybody in the organization got to get up there in front of the media. And, man, I don't know how Bill Belichick made it all these years because, some of y'all are so personal. But the one that there's one you left me with. And I told my wife this, and you know how it is with us football guys when we watching the ball game and mom's bringing the snacks in, and I turned to my wife and I said, Mom, you got to come listen to this. And you was talking about, I'm kind of a manly man. You used that term. You said, I'm a manly man. Is that part of your faith, or is that part of coming from Detroit, or is that a little bit of everything? How did you... because a lot of people, when you come at them with, hey, look, I need for you to be a man, because that's how I raised my grandson's 9. That's how I talk to him. I talk to him, he wants to, don't you go there on me. Don't go there on me. I need for you to be a man, and then he tells the truth, But tell me about that manly man. How does that come into play in your faith when you talking to these young men today?
Well, just growing up in Detroit, and I was blessed and I was fortunate. I got a lot of uncles, a lot of coaches, my father, and they was all old school cats. They was all old school cats, and old school cats. I tell guys, I remember riding with my dad. I couldn't touch that radio. Everybody, I'm 43, but when I was coming up, even with my friends, I knew about the Temptations, Motown, all the old school music, because you weren't touching that radio, that was so it was forced on you to know who David Ruffin was and to enjoy that music. And I thank God that he raised me like that, because that was classic music. But that's just how I was raised, men are men.
That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.